I will finish by hand and I will show you. But you should have your cacao and you should have something that looks like sand, or actually what you're going to use for your plants at home. If you want to plant something on your balcony. It looks like earth, right? It's very good one actually. It's very dark in color. I'm finishing mixing with my spatula because first I want to see you guys, and second I find it a bit easier right now. But we're going to use the blender one more time to add the dates, okay? Because this is, of course, you're not going to eat brownies that look like that. You want to have a cake texture. So the binding elements are going to be your dates, okay? So we're going to add the dates now, and the dates we're going to add them gradually. So I'm going to keep my Thermomix going on, and I will add the dates gradually. As I mentioned, for those who join a bit later than the others, they need to be soft enough. If you have mid-jaw, it's super good. It will work for sure. If you had one that were a bit drier, you should soak them. And if you didn't have time to soak them ahead of the lesson, then you just add a little bit of water. It should do the trick, okay? But first we're gonna add them, and then you'll see the texture you get, okay? So I'm putting like this. So just add them gradually. Of course they have to be pitted, as I mentioned before, so just be careful. And I'm just gonna put this and add my dates. Okay. Okay. That's what happened. You set the timer. I don't want a timer. Okay. So you should mix not at super high speed, because the dates are going to be soft. So normally you don't need to go the extra mile, but I will see how it goes, and then if it needs a bit more blending, then I will increase a little bit the speed, okay? So I'm adding the dates gradually, okay? So it gives time so that it can bind well, and you don't want to find big chunks of dates at the end, okay? If you're like me and you have Thermomix or that kind of thing, it should be starting to be a bit warm, especially here in Singapore, so it's good also to stop at some point. Okay, so my texture looks like that, okay? So it's something I can bind. I don't want to go over, because once again, you remember we put those very healthy fats inside with the nuts. And the thing is that if you continue blending, the oil will come out. So just if you have something that when you press it and you hold it looks like that, then it's perfect. You should not have big chunks of dates inside, which is fine on my end, okay? So if you do have some dates, continue blending. If, as I said, you don't have this kind of texture, it's a bit too dry, what you should do is add a little bit of water. Just go very gradually, because otherwise you're gonna have too much water, it won't bind in the end. And last thing, if it's actually too moist, because you put too much water and you didn't drain well your dates, what you should do is add a little bit of cocoa powder, okay? So we're almost done with the recipe. Very easy. This is ready. I'm going to transfer it in a bowl, okay? So I don't know if you had tried before raw brownies. I cannot see the hands rising, so I don't know. What I would say is that usually when I try those, I find them like too greasy, oily, or I mean, I'm not always convinced by the texture. Very often they will use also like peanuts, peanut butter, or that kind of stuff in there. I think the walnuts are very subtle in the taste and the texture they give, and you can feel there's a bit of a sugary, caramelly kind of taste because of the dates, but it's really not overwhelming. Okay, so normally people like it. You see, it was not too sticky, so I managed to remove it very easily. That should be the thing, huh? And you should have this nice dough here. And the last thing we're going to do is basically just very basically, I just need to clean my hands, and you probably have to do the same at home. What I'm going to do is just chop the almonds, okay? So if you have something else than almonds, this is what you want to do. Perfect. Almonds are going to be like the little crunch inside with the cocoa nibs. So you just chop them roughly. What you can do is, if you have a Thermomix like me, you can also chop them using your Thermomix. You want to keep big chunks, but also have smaller ones, so you don't have some parts of the brownies with no nuts. And we're just going to add them to the dough, and after we transfer it to a pan, put it in the fridge. That's it. But don't leave when this is done, because I just wanted to add a little cream to accompany the brownies, and it's a super easy one. So we finish with our almonds or walnuts or pecans or whatever you choose. As mentioned before, no need to get activated ones. If you didn't, that's fine. Healthier in general, but absolutely not compulsory. So you see, I keep big chunks and I have smaller ones, okay? I'm going to finish, and I'm also adding those cocoa nibs. Hello. Cocoa nibs, which are not compulsory. They will bring some bitterness when you bite in it, but it's so sweet that to me it works fine. If you're afraid it won't work, don't put them tonight. You will try next time, okay? So I'm adding my 2 tablespoons of cocoa nibs. And those are very nice also to have when you make chap, puddings or porridge in the morning. It brings a little bit of a chocolate, actually a real chocolate taste, flavor, but you don't have any sugar. It's low in carb, high in fat, but that's the good ones. And you don't need so much. So that's a little crunch that brings this chocolatey taste, very rewarding, and without the guilt, right? We're talking about healthy, comfy food tonight, okay? So, as I said before, actually, when people think vegan, gluten-free, you know, and even raw food, they associate it with like super healthy. I'm gonna say this is healthy for dessert, but it's obviously rich in fat and sugar. So if you look at the calories, you know, it's not something you want to eat every day or a very tiny slice. So vegan doesn't mean healthy, right? I'm sure you are all aware of that, but my kids were not at the beginning, so they tend, and my husband also, so he was saying like, well, it's vegan, I can have more. I was like, oh, okay. I did put a lot of nuts and stuff like that in there. So, you know, this is like super rewarding in itself, and the texture is so nice, but I think you don't need so much of it. To really enjoy. Okay, so I have a spatula, but to be honest, I'm going to use my hands. This is always better when you bake anyway. So you just want to, okay, you just want to, you know, mix it roughly. You put your cocoa nibs and you put your nuts in there. So just do it with your hands so that you've got something a bit homogeneous, because after you're transferring in your pan, okay? As I said before, if you had hazelnuts as nuts, I would advise you to toast them slightly. We're talking raw, so I didn't propose that in the recipe, but hazelnuts were very well, I did taste it in this recipe, but toasted. It will have a nicer flavor. You just toast them for like 10-15 minutes in your oven at 180, okay? Then you're not totally raw, but it's okay. It's still fine, and it's still delicious. Okay, so look, I have a bowl. You should have the same at home, okay? If not, again, if it's like not holding it very well, you should add a little bit of water if it's because of your dates. Okay, I'm sprinkling almonds everywhere. Or if it's too sticky, if you cannot have it like that, then it means you need to add a bit of cocoa powder, but be careful, don't put too much and sift it before, so it's not like a big chunk that comes inside, okay? And now what we're going to do is just transfer it in our pan. Okay, this one is approximately, I think 18 squares, 18 centimeter. I like to do it in those, or, I'm still holding my stuff. I like to do it in those small ones, okay? It's nice. Hello? Yes, gluten husband. Yeah, my husband is a gluten. No, but I'm happy he likes my food. Okay, so yeah, those ones are pretty, and I will show you how to plate it later on. And I use those ones to plate my brownies. But if you want to make like a real brownie, just use your hands again and just press this dough. Usually my kids love to do that, but they're probably watching me right now and don't dare to come. So if your pan is a bit too big, not to worry, because we're not baking this one. So I'd advise you to make them thick, but not too thick, so like 2 centimeters, because they are very nourishing and fulfilling. So my pan is a bit too big, it's okay, it's not going to spread out. Actually, it will tighten a little bit in the fridge or in the freezer. So, you know, don't worry, just take your hands and press it so you get, you know, something with the right homogeneous, I would say, height.